Governor Bruce Rauner, who's on the line right now. Governor, good morning to you.
Good morning, Riley. Good morning, Scott. How you guys doing today?
We're doing great. Thanks for taking time out of what we know is a pretty crammed schedule.
Yeah, we got a lot going on to get our state turned around. It's a hectic schedule, but I love the work, and we're making progress.
So year one is in the books, and I'm sure there were many expected hurdles. There were many expected challenges. You knew what you were dealing with House Speaker Mike Madigan when you were running for the job.
Yep.
What surprised you about your first 12 months in charge of the state, Governor?
You know, the biggest surprise is how bad it is inside the government. I knew it was bad. You know, we all have our senses of how government is inept or has conflicts of interest or is inefficient or wasteful. It's stunning inside state government in Illinois. And I'm trying to change the culture now from the inside, and we're making progress. But the culture of, there's a mindset of inside the government of what's in it for me. People inside the government is like, what's my deal? And instead of thinking about externally, how do I help the people of Illinois? How do I improve my service for the people of Illinois? It's a self-centered, what's in it for me mindset, and we've got to change that. So we're changing the people, we're changing the culture. We've assembled a super talented team of executives, some from business, some from government, some from the private sector, to run the state agencies and put in new systems and procedures and really get focused on serving the people of Illinois again. I'm very proud of our team, and we have already cut over $700 million out of the operating costs of state government just through good management practices inside. We've put in 17 new labor contracts that we've agreed to with the majority of the labor unions in government, and we got merit pay in for the first time ever, so we can pay the productive workers more, and we can give bonuses to the employees who come up with ways to save taxpayer money. And we've also dramatically increased state support for education. That's my number one priority. And even though we have no budget, we've got more support going to our schools, and that's a big deal from my perspective.
Spending some time with Governor Bruce Rauner. Let's go back to what you just said a moment ago. You know, for a guy who we keep hearing wants to just kneecap unions, just wants to destroy them, hates unions and all. Well, what did you say about getting deals done?
Yeah, exactly. This spin that somehow I hate unions or anti-unions, it's pure baloney. I absolutely do not. My grandfather's in a union. A lot of my relatives are union people. A lot of my supporters are union people. I'm all in for working families. This spin is just ridiculous. What I've said is we've worked with the unions. We cut a deal with the Teamsters. We've cut a deal with a lot of the trade unions and the different groups that represent employees in the state government. I just want fair contracts that incentivize productivity and reward great performance. It's not only based on seniority.
Governor Bruce Rauner with us. It's Riley and Scott on WROK. You alluded to the fact there still is no budget in Springfield, and depending on who you talk to, this could last months, this could last years. We don't know. I saw you mention, and I'm trying to find the piece, and I just don't have it in front of me, so just correct me if I'm wrong, but I heard you talk about perhaps, as the longer this goes, trying to find a way to extricate the state from some of these court orders, some of these decrees on this mandatory spending that has to go out the door, in which the state, despite no budget, is still spending at a rate that's going to put it $4, $5, $6 billion in the hole after a fiscal year. What's that plan? I mean, how do you go about getting the state out of those orders?
Yeah, so it's really tragic. We don't have a budget. It's ridiculous. We should have agreed on a budget plan months and months ago. The General Assembly, all they've done is pass spending bills that put us $5 billion in the hole. And the legislature, under Speaker Mike Madigan, has spent deficit spending money we don't have for years and years. This is not a recent thing. This is not just the last year or two. This has been going on for a long, long time. It's the reason we're at such a mess. Speaker Madigan doesn't want to change, even though it's hurting the people of Illinois. His groups, his political people, his lobbyists, his politicians, his judges, his patronage workers, his legislators that are loyal to him, they are all thriving in Illinois government. They are doing really well. And the Speaker wants no changes. And, you know, he's fighting term limits. He's fighting redistricting reform. He's fighting local control on government costs. He's fighting property tax freeze. He's fighting us every step of the way because he loves the status quo. He keeps passing more spending bills, and he says, Governor, you fix it. You raise taxes to pay for this spending. And my answer is no way in heck. That is not happening. and we are going to stay the course and stay strong and fight you, Mr. Speaker. And we have been such a mismanaged government in Illinois for so long, for decades, literally. Big parts of our government budget are under court order or consent decree. We have to spend at a certain level because judges have gotten involved, and judges are actually managing our state government. It's ridiculous, and they're mandating certain actions or certain spending. So I've ordered my team to look at every consent decree that we've got inside state government, and there are dozens and dozens of them, to look at what the judges ordered, why they've ordered it, and what actions we can take in the coming months to get out from underneath those consent decrees so we can actually manage the government for the benefit of the people and the taxpayers again, not from some court and a judge who's often loyal to the political machine in Chicago that helped elect the judges. So we're going to change that system, and we're going to be releasing those plans in the coming weeks.
You know, Governor, I saw a talking head the other night talking about your first year in office and saying that, Governor Rauner is coming to the realization this might not be as easy as he thought it would be. I never recall you saying it would be easy, and I think that this is a bit of a classic misread in that I think Michael Madigan thought you were going to be easier than you are.
You are 100% correct in that statement. I knew this was going to be very tough. Democracy is not designed to change quickly or easily, and Speaker Madigan has been the one constant in state government for 40 years. Every major decision made was with his blessing. He's created this mess. He loves this mess. His political class is doing well. What Speaker Madigan has completely underestimated me, and I've got him, totally boxed in and back on his heels. He didn't realize how much resolve I've got. I was elected to do a job to improve the government for it works for the people, and we're going to change the system. We're going to shake up the system and change it so it works for the people again. And Speaker Madigan now it's registering on him with that I am not backing down, and we are going to get big changes in the system. So we'll stay the course.
Governor Bruce Rauner with us. It's Riley and Scott on WROK. Speaking of big changes, I now have a personal experience with this. As you might know, I'm actually leaving the state in the near future. It's not due to some of the reasons that we hear often.
Oh, no, I heard. Congratulations. It's very exciting. Hillsdale College, one of the best schools in the world, and also one of the very few schools in the world that totally embraces the principles of liberty. That's Universities are bastions of big government and collectivism, and Hillsdale College, and it's exciting. They got a new radio station you're going to have. That's fantastic.
Yeah, well, you come up anytime. I'll give you a tour, and we've got a guest room in the house. You can stop by, and we'll
No, I'd love to. Actually, my dad's family, my mom's family were dairy farmers in Wisconsin. They came over in the 1890s to Illinois and then up to Wisconsin, and my mom was a dairy farm girl. But my dad's family came from Germany to Illinois. They were corn farmers in Lake County in the 1850s, but they eventually, a lot of them migrated. It was a big family. Eventually migrated over to southern Michigan, and my grandparents for years lived in Kalamazoo, and I actually know a lot of the region there quite well. And Hillsdale's beautiful. It's great college, great community.
Yep. So we go and we look for a home up there, Governor, and we find a larger home on about double the land, and we look at the property taxes. And I swear to you, I had to check 3 or 4 or 5 sources to make sure it was not incorrect. We hear about how bad property taxes are. Property taxes in Michigan, where I'm moving, are 65 to 70% less than what I'm paying here in Winnebago County and Illinois. Oh. That is a huge, huge difference.
Oh, it's dramatic. No, I hear from homeowners all the time. I hear from small business owners. For small business owners, it's one of the main reasons they leave Illinois. They go to Indiana where the property tax is low, or Michigan, or Tennessee, or Texas is where I hear a lot. Illinois basically is tied with New Jersey, and I don't want to be tied with New Jersey on anything. We're tied with New Jersey for the highest property taxes in America. It's punishing to our homeowners. It's punishing to our economy and our small business owners. And that's why I'm pushing a property tax freeze. And that's why I'm pushing local control. Get power away from Speaker Madigan and the General Assembly. Let the residents of Rockford decide what gets collectively bargained in their state government. How is competitive bidding done on construction projects? How much outside contracting for lower services at cheaper rates can be done inside their local government, for the city government or for Winnebago County government or in their school district, so that we can get a handle on the costs of local government to bring down the property tax burden. That's a huge part of what we're pushing.
And Governor, I got to say, the fact that you have stood up in the face of, a mountain of criticism and allies of the speaker and taken all of the slings and arrows, but at the same time, I think your reluctance or refusal to back down on this one has made all of us take a good look in the mirror at this state.
No, that's right. We're making surprising progress, and we're changing changing the mindset around the state. We can do this. We are the great. You know what? Illinois is a wonderful place, and I am so energized and so excited about the possibilities. We have the hardest working people in America. I love Illinois. We're great people. We're best location of any state in America. Core. We're the hub of our transportation network for America. We're the hub of our manufacturing base. We're the hub of the commercial center of the Midwest in Chicago. We're the hub of agriculture is the backbone. We have every reason to thrive. We should be kicking tails against other states. We should be one of the fastest growing states in America, and instead we're in the bottom. And people are leaving. 100,000 people left last year who could choose where to live. They've moved out. We're at the bottom on economic growth. And here's what really gets me. Speaker Madigan is always saying, Governor, you're trying to hurt the middle class. You're trying to reduce wages. You're radical. You're extreme. All that horse manure that he keeps saying. You know what I just learned a few days ago, just this week? Indiana factory workers now make more money than Illinois factory workers. That has never happened in history. It's outrageous. And why? Because they are pro-business, pro-growth, pro-job creation, and the factory jobs are moving there. Factories are competing to hire workers, and now their people are making more money than us, and that's an outrage, and I'm going to change that fast as part of our agenda.
Governor Bruce Rauner with us, Raleigh and Scot on WROK. Another issue that popped up this week, Supreme Court arguments in Washington on a case out of California that echoes a case that's moving through in Illinois that you were once a part of. You pushed for this. People said, you're anti-union, you want to kill unions, you know what you're talking about, you can't do away with the fair share, the unfair share dues for teachers' unions and other unions. And now it looks, again, we don't know for sure, but based on the oral arguments, it looks likely the Supreme Court is going to side with you, with teachers, and say, no, you don't have to pay these fair share dues.
That's right. It's the good news. I mean, we'll see. The Supreme Court's not going to rule until June, probably. But this is a really, really big deal. This is about freedom of speech and freedom of political choice, which is the foundation of America. I have always believed, and again, these principles are not anti-union. They're pro-freedom of choice for employees and for workers and the people of the United States of America. By its very nature, government-based union. This is totally different. It has nothing to do with private sector unions. Nothing to do with auto workers or steel workers or whatever. Government workers, when they unionize and bargain or negotiate or push inside government, everything they do by its nature is political. They're working in the political system with politicians. And for those people who want to be in the union, terrific. Be in the union, pay your dues, be part of the process. Awesome. But the folks who don't want to be in the union and don't want their money used for the effective political speech of the government union shouldn't have to be part of that process. I believe it's a freedom of speech issue for the employees. Many people agree with me. A lot of the union members agree with me. I heard from AFSCME members when I first became governor. And I've pushed this for, right from day one. The Supreme Court is in the arguments sounds like they agree with us, and they agree with the teachers. And I met with the teachers in California early in their process. They believe very strongly that they want to be teachers, and they want to have their own political voice. They want to focus on the kids, not on the union's issues. They don't agree with the union leaders, so they want to do their own thing. And in America, they should be entitled to do that. So, that's the argument, and we'll see what the court decides.
And well, Governor, Scott's headed to Michigan. I'm sticking around here in hopes that he can't constantly rub that property tax thing in my face. I have faith that you will get this fixed.
Stay strong. We're not going to back down. We'll get it fixed. We'll make our property taxes reasonable. People keep saying to me, Governor, the problem is we need more revenue. Just pass a tax hike and get it done. The Speaker Madigan's people say, just do a tax hike. And Speaker Madigan was finally honest for the first time in this process in December. He said, why don't we just start with moving the income tax back up to 5%, and maybe we'll go higher from there. You know what? That is absolutely the wrong answer. We did a massive income tax on the people of Illinois in 2011. We did that once, and it was in place for 4 years. And in those 4 years, during that period of time of the tax hike, our credit rating for the state of Illinois went down 5 times, not up. It went down 5 times. Our unfunded pension liability went up $28 billion, not down. We lost more people from the state. Our economic growth rate got cut in half. And the unpaid bill backlog, it's ridiculous we even have unpaid bills, but the unpaid bill backlog in Illinois barely got a dent in it. It was barely paid down much at all. We didn't solve anything with that tax hike. So the tax hike is not the right answer. The right answer is more economic growth, more empowerment for the people of Illinois, more local control for the voters in each community, and a rising economy so we get higher family incomes. That's what we're fighting for, and that's what we're gonna win out.
Governor Bruce Rauner, as always, thanks for the generosity of your time. We know you got places to go and lots of things to do. Thanks a lot. Have a terrific weekend.
Well, thank you. You guys, too. Have a great weekend. Really enjoy visiting with you. And, Scott, have a wonderful time over in Michigan and that new radio station you're going to run. It's going to be a lot of fun.
Thanks, Governor. Appreciate it.
Take care.